Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahawashi, Bahasham, Barakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who ruled and teach well. In peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson, and I'll be reading from an article on JerusalemPost.com titled, Israel has limited time to act against Iranian regime, senior official warns. A senior 1948er official suggests the need to act before Trump's presidency concludes as tensions rise over Iran's nuclear and missile programs. And, a lot of attention has been over on, Venezuela, Nigeria now, Mexico on the Western Hemisphere. But lest we forget, over in the East, the main part of World War III has still been steadily brewing. And this article and this quote from this senior 1948er official just further shows that point. And there will be renewed strikes on Iran by the U.S. and the 1948ers. And as, this official said, we have a limited time to act against Iran, which brings us to Salakia. Revelation 12, verse 12, which, we use this for the elites of the Edomites, like your Rothschilds and your Rockefellers, for them to bring about their NWO. But hey, these Edomites, the so-called white people across the border, are feeling that the clock is running out for the time of their rulership. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil, that deceiver, Esau Edom, is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And again, Israel has limited time to act against Iranian regime, senior official warns. Like I just said, all these devils know that they're on the clock, especially those in higher positions of power. And hey, that's going to be a woe to the world and to the inhabitants therein, because when the 1948ers are fully committed to that war with Iran, the United States of America is going to be dragged in along with them. And that's ultimately going to lead to nuclear missiles being fired onto the land of Israel and onto the United States of America as well. 1948ers should seek to overthrow the Iranian regime before the end of U.S. President Nero 47's administration, a senior official told 1948er public broadcaster Khan Yes News on Monday. Trump's second term as U.S. president is due to end in January of 2029. And hey, Nero 47 looks to be that cruel lord and fierce king set over Egypt, spiritual Egypt, or America in Isaiah chapter 19. And, going into next year, it's going to be the 250th year of the United States of America being a country. And when you look it up, every empire, collapses around the 250-year mark. And going back to that Revelation 12, verse 12, the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. The times are being shortened by the Lord on his red ass. So, hey, Nero 47 very well be that president that leads America into the meat grinder, the nuclear meat grinder that is World War III. And it said his second term ends in 2029, and then what's the year after that? 2030, which is Agenda 2030, where the powers that be want to have everything for their NWO, or that great RESET, fully in place. So, as we can see all across the board, the signs spiritually and, within the world are pointing towards an end to this society as we know it. But hey, it's ultimately going to be the end of Esau and these heathen societies, because the next new world order that's coming is the order of the Israelites, the kingdom of heaven. Yasharallah. Iran has been seeking to reproduce its stockpiles of advanced missiles, and the 1948ers are closely monitoring Tehran's efforts, a senior security source told Khan. The New York Times on Sunday cited regional officials and analysts who viewed another outbreak of war between the 1948ers and Iran as only a matter of time. That's exactly what it is, a matter of time, because these things will happen according to biblical prophecy. That's it with this article. Let's get to these precepts. Because remember what they said, we need to strike before the end of Nero 47's term. Insinuating that, if Nero 47 gets out of the president's office, we'll never have an opportunity like this again. Because, they look at Nero 47 as Cyrus 2.0, who's going to do anything to help out the 1948ers. But this is Jeremiah 49, verse 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom, you so-called white people, you Americans, the 1948ers, Europeans, Russians, etc., etc., and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. And that least of the flock is speaking of those 1948ers, the small hats, who are of the tribe of Amalek, of the nation of Esau, Edom. And they're going to do something that's going to, fully foment that war against Iran. That's going to drag out, all these nations down into it. And again, as that article said, we need to get things popping off before Nero 47 gets out of office, because they know that the main nation that's going to be drawn out in on their side to defend them is the United States of America. This is Joel chapter 2, verse 20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army, the North American army, the U.S. military, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate. Sounds like what? A desert, with his face toward the East Sea. And when we go to a map of the Middle East, or Western Asia as what it truly is, you've got Saudi Arabia right here, which has always been used as the main launching ground for any war that the U.S. waged in Western Asia. And it's going to be the main place, to set things off for the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. But it said with his face toward the East Sea, and what do you have towards the east? The Persian Gulf, and above it, Iran. And then to the northeast, you've got Iraq, which has the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. And his hinder part, or behind him, towards the utmost sea, or the Red Sea, which, over the last couple of years, the U.S. Navy has been engaged with the Houthi Yemeni rebels in the Red Sea. Look at this. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he had done great things. And there's going to be a great slaughter of U.S. military personnel in, the Valley of Jehoshaphat over in Western Asia, along with these other heathen nations as militaries that are going to be gathered down in there when the least of the flock shall draw them out. And as I said back in the article, one of the major reasons, the 1948ers want to strike is because Iran has been seeking to reproduce its stockpile of advanced missiles, and the 1948ers are closely monitoring Tehran's efforts, a senior security source told Khan. And also they want to knock out Iran's, nuclear facilities, so that can keep them from getting nuclear capable weapons to go against the 1948ers. Which brings me to this little infographic right here. And, I put in Iran making 2,000 a day. And this is what the AI overview says. The number 2,000 a day in reports relating to Iran refers to two separate things based on recent news. Missile production. Iranian officials have indicated that their missile factories are operating 24 hours a day with the goal of being able to fire 2,000 missiles simultaneously in a future conflict with the 1948ers, hoping to overwhelm 1948er defenses, which, back in June with the 12-day wars, they wanted to call it, Iran showed that with the limited amount of missiles they fired, that they were able to overwhelm the Iron Dome system, and they really weren't coming with the full force of what they were capable of. But those times are coming quickly. This is an increase from the approximately 500 missiles Iran launched over a 12-day period in the previous exchange. So, hey, everybody's gearing up on all sides. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 15 in the Apocrypha. I'm going to read verses 28 to 30. Behold, an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, the so-called Middle East, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots. Those Ishmaelite, so-called Arab nations, shall come out with many chariots, their military hardware, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmanians, which, when you look up ancient Carmania, it's in modern-day Iran. So this is speaking of the Iranians. Also the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come, and join battle with them, with the dragons of Arabia, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. And the land of the Assyrians can go into two things. On the one hand, the land of Israel, because when the Neo-Assyrians, took over the northern kingdom and took them out of the land and put them into slavery, they controlled, some portions of the land of Israel. And it can also talk about America, which is spiritual Assyria in the scriptures. So, dealing with the land of the Assyrians being the 1948ers, it says the Carmanians and the dragons of Arabia are going to join battle against them. When the time comes, Iran, some of these Arab nations are going to go to war against the 1948ers. And I believe back in September, Egypt was talking about getting different, Islamic nations like Turkey. They talked about Iran in there and some other nations to put together an Arab-style NATO to defend their countries from future 1948er attacks. So you see, all the pieces are perfectly being put in place. And as we read from that infographic, 2,000 a day, Iran's missile programs are working in overtime to where they'll be able to shoot 2,000 missiles simultaneously on the 1948ers. And eventually they're not just going to be conventional missiles. They're going to include nuclear missiles as well. But what this is ultimately culminating into is the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the main part of World War III, the War of Armageddon. Joel 3 verse 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, the heathens, which is exactly what the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, chiefly of GMS or Great Millstone, as well as the brothers that come in the spirit of GMS are doing by putting out video epistles like this and preaching on the highways and byways. Prepare war, World War III, war with Iran, nuclear war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. 2,000 a day. Iran's, missile facilities working 24 hours, in the day to build up those stockpiles, and these other nations, preparing accordingly for war. Remember, we have a limited time to strike Iran while Nero 47 is in office. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. And those mighty ones are the death angels of the Lord, holding back this great destruction, waiting to get the go-ahead to fully release it, which is going to happen after the mark of the beast in Revelation 13, verses 16 to 18, which is that micro C-hip implant is mandatorily implemented, which we can see with all these nations talking about implementing digital IDs and cryptocurrencies, hey, it's right around the corner as well. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shaphat, or Yahweh's judgment. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about, which when you go to the first couple of verses of this chapter, the Lord is judging you heathens, chiefly you Edomites, for afflicting the children of Israel, the true children of Israel, who are again known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today, which more and more people are starting to wake up to that fact. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. And we can see with 1948 officials saying we need to strike before Nero's out of office. Hey, that day is very near, and there will be no canceling the apocalypse, because with that Hamas Israel ceasefire deal, which is already collapsed. Back then, this is what Nero 47 had to say. There will never be a World War III. We're not going to have a World War III. If we're smart, there will never be a World War III, which, if he is the president to lead us into World War III, a highly ironic statement. But regardless, there will be a World War III, and nothing will happen to avert it. This is Revelation chapter 9, verse 12. One woe or destruction is past, referring to World War I. And behold, there come two woes more hereafter, World War II, which is past, and World War III, which, as it says in Revelation 11, verse 14, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So World War III is quickly coming down the pipeline. But that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere, Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time.